CLR, that's just this documentation day, right? Like initially that we created how to create a CLR, how to, create a CLR function. So that's just basic documentation that I've linked
Okay.
here in this new doc. And this is the sheet to test like some of the CLR that Roman has made. So you can execute CLRs there. Um, I mean, like if you needed to test something, right? You can use just, this is just for Google API, like all the Google API CLR function. And at the bottom, you will see different sheets to test, like recently we did question, answer, performance API. So all the CLRs are there. So if you wanted to test, which will be uh, coming in handy, right? Because you have to, after every deployment, you have to test the CLRs. So this just talks about that, right? Basic CLR creation, and then OJ for you and other developers to like just to test something, right? So
Okay.
prerequisite to do this, right? So here I have just defined where is this project, where is this? So basically it's a .NET assembly, that has integration to third parties APIs like Google, Facebook, Yext, etc. Right? This assembly resides in relevant.apps.relevant.solution, and I can show you here. So this is the solution relevant.apps.relevant, and this is the project in
Okay.
their SQL Server CLR functions, right? So
Okay.
this project is also what we call as SVC. So if you, publish the API wrappers, that's SVC. So that's a prerequisite. You have to, let's say you are going to deploy SQL Server assembly because you have to upload it on 6 different machine, and I have pointed that. So to test it, first you will deploy it on like dev or test server, right? Uh,
Yeah.
so so then it's a prerequisite that you publish the SVC on dev and test, right? And then, also change the URL accordingly, right? So if this is HTTPS, it's going to send your request to SVC, which is production. So you have to change it to, like HTTP and dev dash. This is more technical. If you want to make a note, you can make it.
Hmm.
Um,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, we could improve this sheet to having like a drop down for the field of like which
Yes,
environment and such.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that can be done. So basically, that's what I'm saying. Before deploying CLR assembly, we need to promote SVC, that is API wrapper project, which is this API wrapper project. And to promote it, OJ, there is no pipeline, but you like literally right click and say publish. I think Mohammed is aware, and definitely Roman
Mm.
and Constantine are 100% aware. And
So where
so
will I
you,
see this project,
huh?
this solution? I mean,
Solution is
this.
relevant ads.apps.relevant here on the top. Very to you to be going into opening up Visual Studio and doing this.
Oh,
So
okay.
maybe some part. This is some for day. This doesn't need to be deployed like every week. I probably was doing. Sometime it would be 3 months, right? I have to deploy it in 3 months, right? Like we were not developing like
Anyway, that's
API
fine.
every day. Yeah.
I
So.
understand that it means
Mhm,
anyway. So to answer your question, OJ, is that this isn't something you could deploy
mhm.
through
Yeah.
Yeah.
pipelines.
Yeah. So once you deploy the SVC on the particular environment, then build this project, right? Make sure there is no error. Then go to the SQL Server. Like once you build that project, go to this project on the file system. So you can literally, SQL Server function, just explore, open in Explorer, um, and then go to bin, uh, debug, copy this 3 DLLs. Don't PDB files, just the DLLs, right? So I mentioned I put a screenshot here, project on file system, and copy the output DLLs. So this 3 DLLs, so deployment of CLR needs to be done on 6 machines. So this is RA-SQL01 dev, RA-SQL01 test, RA-SQL01 production, which is, and then SQL, because this is on 2 different servers, and we have 3 environments for each server, right? So in total, we have to deploy on 6 servers. So what I usually myself do, like I will deploy just on RA-SQL01, test out everything, and then I literally just copy paste and deploy on
Yeah,
all other
dev,
5.
test, production. Yep.
Yeah, dev test production. So the path to all assemblies is the same, right? So the path on all server is the same. So I am consistent in creating. So
Mhm.
all this six server, if you go on all this six server, you will find this path. C SQL Server Assembly new. That's where you need to paste in. Since the query down below gonna use this path. So all six server have the same path. So what I do, I just basically uh,
Copy
here, right?
paste it to there. Yep.
Yeah, so RSQL1 dev, I will go and pay. I'll first copy the older assemblies and I created like a backup. So this, I will put the, current assemblies into backup and then, and anything, goes wrong. So I'll first take the backup of this. I'll take this and, put it in the backup folder and then paste in the new ones here that you got from your solution, right? So in case something goes wrong, you can just put it back and redeploy. So yeah, this is the path C SQL Server assembly. So copy the three assemblies from step number two, which is your project, right? And into the path in step number four, which is this path. Make sure to keep a backup of old assemblies in case deployment has problem. So repeat five for all server mentioned in step three eventually, but test on just the dev test server first. So basically, I'm
Good.
mentioning the
Yep.
same thing. Yeah. So then connect to, for example, so connect to RSQL1 dev, choose system config DB because the assembly is present in system config DB. So let me just show you how it looks like on the server, which Dave is already familiar, but here, so if you go to uh, any, because both server has system config DB, right? So system config DB under programmability, if you go to assemblies, you will see SQL Server Function DLL and also Newtonsoft, and there was a third one. So those are the three assemblies. So usually nothing changes. You just have to deploy SQL Server Function, Newtonsoft, and those never change. Unless we were changing in the source also. So yeah, so connect to this one, go to system config database, open a new query window. So I would just literally go here, do like new query. So once I put the in on the path, yeah. So and then copy the drop script.sql. So drop script is nothing but a script that we create to drop all the existing CLR function. Because if you try to drop the assembly, it will say, you have dependency functions there. So you need to first drop all the dependency, all the functions, and then assembly is dropped at the end. So what we did is, because this was a every deployment thing, so we made a list. So anytime we develop a new CLR function, we add it to both create and drop. So there's probably hundreds of functions in here. Uh, so yeah, so all these functions will be dropped, and at the end, CLR assembly will be dropped as well. So you will get a clean slate, like this will be, gone. Your assembly will be deleted. This assembly will be gone, SQL Server function, and all the functions inside your system config DB will be deleted, right? So so I have actually said that the script drops all the CLR function in the system config database and also drop the SQL Server function assembly at the end. So now you have dropped the existing assembly. Now you need to install the new updated assembly, right? So this is where, so this is just to, this is just assembly settings, like you set the database trustworthy, enable CLR, and that. This is the major, I think this is formatting. Um, what happened?
I'm just
Maybe
putting.
Dave.
I'm just
Okay,
putting in comments to
okay,
simplify.
okay. Okay, got it.
Simplify it.
Maybe Dave, you can also help me with. I wanted to put it into like in the coding codes. It wasn't happening. Those three tab like yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll start. I'll clean it
Mhm.
up a little bit.
Like literally just copy paste all the four statement and literally run it, right? Nothing complicated in there. I won't do it right now, but yeah, this is just to enable like system config trustworthy and CLR enable in order for assembly to work. And then this is the create assembly function. You don't have to change anything. I provided exactly. This is the path if you see SQL Server Assembly new where you uh, pasted the new DLL, SQL Server DLL. So this is just gonna run and install the new assembly, right? So once the assembly is installed, then you need to do a create all. This what this does is recreates all those functions that you dropped in the previous thing. So and we have the same thing here. You have a create all SQL script. This creates all the SQL functions of all the SQL CLR functions again. So you will just copy paste, literally just take this and paste it in here and just run it, and it will create all the functions
Where did the
that you.
create all SQL come from? Did that automatically get created, or someone has to
No, no,
maintain
no.
that?
So every we maintain it manually. So
Oh
let's
boy.
say I'm creating it,
Okay.
creating a new
Just want
one.
to make sure.
Yeah, yeah.
All
But
right.
it's in source control though. It's in source control though.
Great.
So I mean, so you will see any
All
additions.
right. Fantastic.
And then once this is done, then test executing a few CLR function and make sure everything is working. That's where your sheet that I
From the sheet
mentioned in.
above. Yes.
Yeah, so just run few CLR function,
Test
make
sheet
sure
above.
it works. And another thing that's where maybe we should
Pretty
put a
much, if
comment.
one works, they should mostly all work.
Yeah,
The problem is if something broke, then none of them probably would work.
yeah. So if dev, then I want to say URL would be, because URL is common to all CLR, so it will be dev uh, dash svc. That's what I want to say. Maybe they make it rephrase it better. But then in the CLR, you have to change the URL. If you are just doing on dev, then this will become the URL. If it is test, then
Hmm.
test.svc. And
Yeah.
production
All
already
right.
this
But that's the
CLR in the
basic of
sheet.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to
And
go through cleaning up and making the examples
yeah.
better. But yeah, fair enough.
Okay.
Thank you, Tesh.
Okay. Yeah. No worries. Thank